or quarter zip for us.
Oh yeah,
it was really dope. Really liked working there. So yeah, Beats by Dre headphones
I
for my best gift.
I miss the bags of clothes I would get from NBC. I do.
Oh yeah,
Every
sure.
year I get like 3 jackets. I probably have like 8 jackets.
I'm the lame-o that loves company swag.
Oh yeah.
I know that this is an Odyssey vest. It was given to me by Charlie. I have an Odyssey backpack.
But that's a North Face vest.
It's a nice vest.
And the bag is an OGO bag.
It's a nice bag.
Yeah, they're very nice. They're very nice. So my favorite gift that favorite white elephant gift, I gave the shake weight. It was a hit.
I bet.
Especially since the guy who got it really didn't understand the gag and just thought it was like an amazing workout gift that he was going to use, and proceeded
just fired up about it
to use the shake weight, much like they do on the commercial.
I love this for him.
I was like,
no, hey, caution to the wind, man. Hell yeah.
I can't believe this is happening.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that. And then one time at a white elephant gift giveaway party, I got the Borat fluorescent green sling, which I proceeded to go into the restroom and change into.
No, I didn't need that. I didn't need that. Okay, party's over. I didn't need any of that. That's I'm gonna have nightmares about this now.
There it is.
Good God. So the bet one time, this is the last thing, and then we'll get to our breaking sports news. I was invited. This is in college, early in college. I was home for the holidays, and one of my friends from home invited me to their house. And they said, hey, do you want to come over for a party? We're doing a gift exchange if you want to bring something. Now, when a 21-year-old, 20, 21, 22, however old we were, I don't remember, says, hey, do you want to come over for a party? That to me says a party of our friends. Okay. 20, 21, 22-year-olds. So I go, yeah, I'm going to get a really funny gift. I'm not going to say what it was because I can say it on the radio, but it's a little bit inappropriate.
Okay.
I'll say it at the break at youtube.com/ESPN1320. I'll say it on the stream. I'm not going to say it on the radio though. So I go and I buy this gift. And while I'm in the process of buying this gift, I'm like, you know what? Let me just make sure that this is the kind of party I think it is. And so right before I went to checkout, I called my friend and I said, hey, what kind of party is this? And she's like, oh, it's a bunch of my family. Yeah, it's like all my little cousins and stuff. Whew, the relief that washed over me that I made that phone call.
Oh, yeah.
And I ended up getting, I forget what I ended up getting. It was like hot chocolate in a coffee mug or something. But
yeah,
it was.
You backed away from that ledge.
Boy,
that was a close.
I sure did.
Kyle.
It was. Thank God. All right. Let's talk about sports. We'll have some Kings Grizzlies to get to. I want to talk about Mike Brown challenging De'Aaron Fox, and I've also got some thoughts from Rockets Kings that I didn't get to yesterday because I was having veneers put in down in the Amazon. Some breaking news this morning from ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan. Right-handed pitcher Luis Severino and the Sacramento A's are in agreement on a 3-year, $67 million contract. Sources tell ESPN it is the largest guarantee in the history of the A's franchise, and even with the qualifying offer attached, Severino got well over market expectations.
I don't believe you.
Passan continues. Severino's deal with the A's includes an opt-out after the second season. The A's went into this winter seeking pitching, and they get one of the best on the market in Severino, whose career earnings now top $130 million. Free agent pitching prices remain high.
I don't believe you, Kyle.
Yeah, it's.
I mean,
like great. Here's let's put aside the weirdness that is the Athletics. They needed players who could get people out consistently. Their inability to get outs last year was a huge reason they won, 68 games, 69 games, 70 games, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It was a reason they weren't very good is because they just didn't have the horses up front. I don't think Luis Severino is a number one starter at this point in his career, especially since he's going to be 31 by the time the game starts, but by the time the season starts. Mm-hmm. He had an injury in 2020. He only pitched 4 games in 2021. Bounced back with a really good year in 22. Wasn't as good in 23, and then was fine last year. He's a good player last year. It is fascinating to me that the A's have now decided to spend money. Like, now they do it? Okay.
Fascinating is like one word. It's
That's
just
the word I'm going to choose to use.
It's just horrible. It's horrible that
okay.
for so many years the A's have just been the cheapest franchise in Major League Baseball. And like, what was their payroll last year? Like $47 million?
Less than what they're going to pay Luis Severino for 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the funny thing about this is they're spending money. They're spending on a 31-year-old starting pitcher who had a 3.91 ERA last year in 31 starts.
Yeah,
like, I mean, he's a good player.
He's instantly their number one,
which is like,
I mean, that's just telling.
Which isn't great.
Yeah.
The question for me is, okay, that's nice. You go get Luis Severino. Are you ever going to be in the mix for somebody better than that? Would they have been in the mix if Luis Severino was a 25-year-old coming off an all-star season?
Absolutely not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they're not in the Juan Soto not even sweepstakes.
Close. Not even close.
No.
And they're never going to be. So the question to me now comes in, okay, Lawrence Butler comes out and keeps tearing it up. What does that look like down the line?
Yeah, are you even in the Lawrence Butler sweepstakes, which is your own player?
Right.
Brent Rooker, like, I don't even think they'll pay his arbitration money.
Yeah, they're not, and apparently they're not going to trade him.
No.
So I don't totally know what's going on there. What is Shea Langoliers has a breakout season? What does that look? So that's the next step for me. Okay, you can throw some money at free agents, the mid-tier free agents from a financial standpoint. They're not going to be in the mix for a Shohei Ohtani or a Juan Soto or a Bryce Harper. Pick your favorite Aaron Judge. Pick your favorite $500 million player. But they're supplementing now this young roster with a legitimate veteran starter. Okay, that's good. What does this look like in 2 years? What does it look like in 3 years? And if they wind up having 4 or 5 all-star caliber players here, which I think they might, do they keep that group together?
Do you ever pay?
Right.
I mean, I think we're all shocked that they paid right here. Like, this
Stunned.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the highest salary before this, probably, I don't know, like in recent years, Chris Davis. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the one where they paid him and then it did not work out at all. Like, he just stopped being able to be a productive baseball player.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they haven't paid anybody. You know, we had those years where they paid like $10 million a year for, what was it?
Billy Butler.
Yeah, Billy Butler. Country breakfast, right?
Yes. That's him.
It's tough stuff.
Chris Davis received I
want to say a 3-year 48.
It was something in that range. It was like a minor commitment. 2 years, 33.5 was the extension.
Okay.
If I'm reading this correctly. But yeah, no, to your point, 20, what is that? 22 million a year for a starting pitcher? Like,
yeah,
good for them.
It's good money. I mean, this is a guy who's going to step right into the rotation. And like, look, I think we all know that they're going to have to overpay anybody to come and play in a minor league ballpark for 3 years.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to overpay.
Here's the other thing. Apparently, the way everybody's talking about this is way above what Severino was projected to get.
Okay.
So they're overpaying a 31-year-old who's coming off a good season. I mean,
yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
I need that to not be where it ends. That's all. Just don't sign Luis Severino and go, look, we did it. We spent money.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You're going to be 28th in payroll now. Like, what can you get to the top 12? Can you get to the top 15?
Can you get to the point
can you invest in player development?
Or maybe where you have an actual pitching staff, like 5 starters. Because as of right now, they have nobody.
Yeah.
Like, they have a couple of young pitchers who did okay last year, and
Yeah.
you might be okay with them as your 4th and 5th starters.
Nobody you're super fired up about.
No, there's no one.
No. So, but again, that goes to player development. That goes to scouting.
Yeah, they
Can you
stopped
stop
paying for all
taking
of
light
that.
hitting shortstops?
Yeah.
In the draft, will you pay if you develop this group, which I talked about it all last year. I am very high on the A's as they come here to Sacramento as a playoff contending team. This is what we see with the A's. This is the cycle. They go through a couple of lean years, and then there's the oh, hey, they're a little better than we expect, and then there's that leap. When those guys take that leap, when Matt Olson and Matt Chapman take that leap together, and Chris Davis is raking, and you've got a bunch of dudes who are getting outs, are you going to pay those guys and keep them around and keep the core together? Or are you going to punt? That's my question. It's great that they signed Luis Severino. That's awesome. They opened their wallets. Great. I need to see the long-term growth of that, though.
Yep.
That's what's coming up next. At least for the A's. Not for us. We got Kings to talk about next.
Yeah.
He's James. I'm Kyle. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is The Insiders. We're hanging out with you until noon on ESPN 1320 on your radio dial. It is ESPN 1320, of course, on the free Odyssey app. We're on youtube.com/ESPN 1320, twitch.tv/ESPN 1320, and you can subscribe to the podcast version of this program. It's called the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show. We can't call it The Insiders for legal reasons that go above my head, but the James Ham and Kyle Madsen Show is available to download wherever you get your podcasts. All right, I have some Rockets Kings thoughts real quick, and then we'll move on to what Mike Brown said about De'Aaron Fox.
Of course.
Number one, Kings -1.5. I told you that day. And as that game wore on, I was like, here it is, dude. It's the sucker bet. A lot of people lost money on the Rockets plus 1.5. Happens every damn time.
Vegas got rich off of that deal.
I bet if
Rich.
you went, I bet if you said what, and I know there are places like betql.com and some other places will tell you like what percentage of the money is coming in on. I bet a lot of money came in on the Rockets.
Oh yeah. I bet you it was totally lopsided. I mean, that's crazy, to be honest. Absolutely crazy.
Insane. Number two, loved the fight from the Kings. Like I when that game started to get messy, my first thought was, oh man, God, don't check out. Don't get punked. And they didn't. They did the punking.
They did.
And I thought that was the most, like, winning a game against the Rockets. Like, weird stuff happens sometimes. Like the Hawks beat the Celtics without Trae Young.
Mm-hmm.
Like, weird stuff like that happens. But the way they carried themselves through the rest of that game after it started to get chippy was a great sign for me.
Yeah,
that
Kyle,
was number two.
When I'm looking at the way that the Kings played in that game, they should be that good every night.
I agree.
This is who they should be. So for them to beat the Rockets shouldn't be a surprise because they're in the same tier, and they should have been coming into this season a tier above the Rockets.
I agree.
The problem is they got lost in the weeds somewhere along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see them step up in a game where, again, a team came in looking to get under your skin and looking to incite something. And what they did is they got the Kings angry, and an angry Kings team looked like what we expected the Kings to look like.
Yep.
That looked like a playoff team in game 5 or game 6 or game 7 saying, no, we're the better team.
Yep. And
it was like, hey, where have you been? Where have you been for the first 21, 22 games of the season?
Yep.
Welcome to the party. Welcome to the 2024-25 NBA season, Sacramento Kings.
Right. That was the team we expected to see.
Yep.
Number 3, I have more on what you just said here in a second. Number 3, Houston is in danger of getting in their own way and tripping over their own feet here. I think it's one of the problems that Memphis ran into before they ousted Dylan Brooks and before John Morant kind of came back and settled in, and it felt like they were more worried about yapping than going out and executing and playing basketball and being better than the opponent.
Yeah, they were into the tough guy lifestyle. but the fake tough guy lifestyle.
Yes.
And it was going nowhere. It doesn't matter how good the record was, it was going nowhere. And then they all bought into it. And then we started having guns on Instagram, and we started having like this you're the fake tough guys. Like,
and even Dylan Brooks after in that was it the playoff series against the Lakers where he was like, I poke bears.
Okay.
Like, that's what you do. No, you should play defense and make shots.
And
like,
watch the movie Reverence. Like,
you see your job is to poke bears. Like, that's silly. That's outrageous.
Yeah,
Dylan Brooks is a good player.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he's out there like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get under LeBron James' skin. No, maybe don't do that.
How about you Google mauled by bear and just look at the clips that come up, the pictures that come up. It's like, hey, look, it's fine to think that that you're gonna be the instigator and all that stuff, but like, don't punch above your weight.
That's all.
Like, what are you doing?
That's all.
And that's what he does. He got under De'Aaron Fox's skin. De'Aaron Fox is just flat out a much better player than Dylan Brooks. Yep. And he's a much better player at this point than any other player that the Rockets have. Yep. And he just gave it to him.
Yep.
Like, oh, look at this. You're gonna do that. Okay. We're going to beat you then.
Yeah. That's the risk you run. That's the risk you run. You might take a guy out of the game. You might get under his skin to the point that, hey, you know what, man, he's just not himself. He's chucking threes and he's taking bad shots and he's fouling, and yeah, we got him. But then you run the risk of De'Aaron Fox going, all right, you got it.
Yep.
And just being the best player on the court.
Yeah, and Malik Monk doing the same thing. Yep. Even the whole scuffle thing that happens where
that was weird.
Ime Udoka is going off on the official. And I like the slowdown. I need to see like the Seinfeld Zapruder film where
the Zapruder film's a real thing.
Well, I know it is. But the Seinfeld one where
Keith Hernandez
may or not have spit on
you say
Kramer,
you were
right?
Struck on the right temple.
If you look at the video of Alperen Şengün walking over the top of the official, it sure does look like he spits on the top of the official's head. Like, he was angry, and either that or he said a very not okay word, like, and he leaned down and like right at the official.
Dang.
And then to watch Malik Monk go over, and I think Tari Eason knocked the ball out of his hands. Malik Monk runs over, scrambles, grabs the ball. Tari Eason scrambles. Like, Malik Monk's like, oh, we got these fools.
Yeah.
He was just like, oh, yeah, this is fun. We got these fools.
Yeah, that was that, like I said, that the Kings didn't let it take them out of their game. No. And they were clearly like, these guys. Like, okay. I thought that was great.
Well, that, and I think there's going to be carryover. Like, these teams play a couple more times this season. There's going to be carryover from that game. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you. And they were, they're fighting for positioning in the in-season tournament. Mm-hmm. The NBA Cup. I think that's what he said.
The Emirates NBA Cup. Yeah.
Yes, the Rockets are fighting for position, and the Kings are like, no,
yeah,
we're gonna mess with you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic. On the subject of, we'll get to Mike Brown in a little bit. I want to get to what Mike Brown said about De'Aaron Fox. I know you guys touched on it yesterday, but I have a lot of thoughts on it because I think it's really, really interesting that the coach came out and openly challenged his star player like that, in that way, and we'll get to why here in a bit. Also going on tonight, we have an excellent Thursday night game. Mm-hmm. It is pretty rare that I'm like, hey, I can't wait to watch Thursday night football. Packers at Lions tonight should be a ton of fun because this is a little bit atypical for a Thursday night game. We've had some good matchups this year, some interesting matchups for sure. But this is a Thursday night game where both teams have had a full week. Usually it's the short week, right? It's just haphazard and it's slapdash, and you see, you don't always see great football. But because both of those teams played on Thanksgiving, they both now had a full week.
Oh, okay.
Between their Thursday games.
The league needs to do a better job of doing this.
Yes.
Matching up where teams that are on bye weeks play the early week, or they play each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. This is the time of year. Well, first of all, here, let me ask you this. Do you feel like Green Bay is a contender now?
I personally don't.
Okay.
I think that they're really close. They're on the cusp. I think that there are probably 5 contenders right now,
Right.
and that's being the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens, the Lions, and the Eagles.
Hmm.
And then after that, like I think there are some good teams, and I would put the Packers in the same that I put like the Texans, that kind of group, and like they're really good teams, but I don't fear them. I mean, they're above like the Commanders
Yeah.
that are just coming into their own, or whoever survives the NFC West or the NFC South. They're
Yeah.
above those teams, but I don't think that they're in the full on contender like bucket.
I think they could get there. I'm with you. I don't buy it today.
Mhm.
But if they go out and look awesome tonight against the Lions, I'm gonna feel a little bit differently because this is a time of year where teams start to separate themselves. Those teams in that tier that you're talking about, that like I gotta see more. This is where you can see more.
Mhm.
So I'm Green Bay's been a little bit up and down. You go and you look, and they've had three good wins in a row, but they blocked a field goal to beat the Bears, and then they beat the heck out of a really depleted Niners team, and then the good win against Miami, but Miami has historically struggled a little bit in the cold.
Mhm.
So I'm not fully buying them yet, but they've inched up closer. Do you buy them more than the Vikings?
Oh, yeah.
I do too.
I mean, they're right there with the Vikings, but I buy them more.
I could see Jordan Love going out and winning a couple playoff games more than I could see Sam Darnold doing so.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at.
I agree with you, and it's because I think Sam Darnold's had ever done it, and we're waiting to see if he can do it versus Jordan Love, who actually has been productive.
Yeah, had a really good playoff game last year in Dallas.
Yeah.
All right, we've got Kings and Grizzlies to talk about. We'll keep diving into Thursday Night Football, and we'll get to that Mike Brown sound where he challenged Aaron Fox and why I think it's a big deal that he did that. Plus, at 11 o'clock, Cam Inman, who covers the 49ers for the Bay Area News Group. He's also the author of the San Francisco 49ers, A Curated History of the Faithful. We will talk to him at 11 o'clock as well. Plenty of show coming. I don't know. We got plenty to get into.
That's right.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. Good thing I don't talk for a living. That's James. I'm Kyle. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. It's ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Clear.
I'm gonna run and grab coffee.
Hang on.
Oh, we haven't?
We have Jiffy Lube at the 11 o'clock.
Okay, cool.
So after, not the next break, but the next one.
That's what we did last time.
Okay.
Yeah, we did the 11 o'clock. Because I had Mark coming in.
Hi, friends. Hell yeah, let's go. Yeah. I said there's been some good games this year. This is just one I'm looking forward to. I typically don't look forward to Thursday night games. There's some good ones, though. I don't know, man. Also, I didn't think San Francisco-Seattle was that good of a game. Kind of ugly. Hey, man. Yeah, big time. It hurts to sit today, too, yeah. It's great. My shoes are super comfy today. See, this is, dude, I am not like tough guy, we're going to fight person, like at all. But if someone spits on me, we're throwing hands. I don't care if I get my ass kicked. Like that's no. You can say what you want. You just you spit on me, we're fucking fighting. Oh, I bought a 4-pack of Red Bull and a box of condoms. And that was what I was going to show up to this white elephant gift exchange with, because I thought it was a bunch of people my age, 20, 21. When I was that age, I'm not that age anymore. I thought it was going to be a bunch of people in that age range, and it turned out it was like grandparents and children and stuff. Yeah, it could, but that wasn't the context that you said it in.
Oh.
That's hilarious.
What's happening, everybody?
Hey, Tornado Wrangler, it's okay if you like Thursday Night Football and I don't. We can agree to disagree on this. Shout out to you, man.
Yeah.
Salute. Appreciate your feedback. I personally don't usually look forward to Thursday Night Football.
Mm.
Ooh. All right, we're at 28 minutes.
Ooh. Pro tip from Jay Oliphant.
Yeah. Wild.
Severino. We got Severino. Said nobody.
I didn't enjoy it. I literally got dental work done.
Oh, I did say that you were hiding the panic button from Vivek. You were searching high and low for the panic button. Once you found it, you had hid the panic button, and then we decided it was a giant red beam that goes into the air.
James Ham is there. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and the Kings take on the Memphis Grizzlies tonight at FedEx Forum down in the great city of Memphis. The Kings enter the game at 10-12. The Grizzlies are 14-8. The Grizzlies were 8-7 and then won 6 in a row.
Ooh.
It's a fun fact. They just recently lost to the Dallas Mavericks. I love that the Kings are getting the Grizzlies in this specific spot, where they just had to play a really kind of grimy style of game where they had to toughen up, frankly. Mm-hmm. They had to have a little fight. They had to have a little grit. And you come out of that game going, okay, is this a one-off? Did they just happen to play well enough to win and the Rockets didn't? Or was this the turning point? Was this, okay, hey, they got on the right track. We saw what the Kings are supposed to be. They saw what they're supposed to be, and now they can build off of that moving forward. This is a great matchup to find out, because the Grizzlies are talented. Mm-hmm. They're very well coached. I think from that standpoint, they're probably better than Memphis, or excuse me, better than Houston at this point, just because they have more veterans. They've been around for a little bit longer. It's a different iteration of the Grizzlies than the ones who were going to the playoffs a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. But it's largely, it's still John Moran, it's still Desmond Bane, it's still Jaren Jackson Jr., Taylor Jenkins still there as the coach. I think it's going to be a tough matchup, but I love that we're going to get an opportunity to see right away, hey, was there some corner that they turned? Did they find something against Houston? Because they're going to get to test a lot of that same stuff tonight against Memphis.
Yeah, and Kyle, what I don't want the Kings to become is that team that gets up for the good teams and falls flat against bad teams. Like, they don't have time for that anymore. This is a moment where you have to be on an upward trajectory. There is no more climbing the mountain and taking some steps back. Like, you already took your big step back. Like, you got up to base camp and then rolled back down the hill to the beginning of the mountain, and you got to climb back up to base camp because there's still a mountain to climb. And that's kind of where they're at as a team and as a group. And a team like Memphis is, I think it is like a perfect opponent for this team. Like, hey, you got to go out there and show you can do it again. But what you can't do is have that game and then another game against a San Antonio or another game against Portland where you just don't show up. You know, the moment of not showing up to games is over. Like last year, again, we were able to circle 4 or 5 games. It's just like, hey, you should have won those games because those are the worst teams in the league. And then we had another bucket of like 5 games where you just missed free throws and you lost games. And this team could have easily won a 50 to 55 win team if they just took care of business. That's not who we're looking at right now. We're looking at a team that has been dysfunctional and lost way too many games already and way too many games against bad teams. So this is like a put up or shut up moment. You're a quarter of the way into the season. If you're not going to do it now, if you're not going to start gaining some momentum right now, and then you have all these home games in December, this season's over. I mean, look at January's schedule where you have like 6-7 game road trips, and you know it just gets worse and worse as you go throughout the season. This is a moment where if they're going to be a playoff team, and this is where they have to sort of stake their claim and climb out of the hole that they've been in.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. It's that consistency, right? We've talked about it with individuals with the Kings too. You play really well one night and then you disappear for a couple nights. De'Aaron Fox, can you be great night in and night out? That's a Mike Brown challenged De'Aaron Fox yesterday and said, "Hey, you need to find that edge every single night. It can't just be when someone makes you mad. You got to be mad every night."
Yeah,
and I think that's what we need to see from the Kings moving forward. Here is the Rockets game was great. Love to see that W. Can you build off of it? Because if you go out and lose by 20 tonight, it feels like it undoes a lot of what happened against Houston because it turns the Houston game into, it was just kind of a fluke.
Well, it's like when you beat Minnesota and then you turn around and you lose to Portland and San Antonio. Like it's fine to beat Minnesota. They're a good team.
It's a nice win.
And you're right there in the same tier as them. You should be at least. But to go out and then lose 2 more games after that, that's where the unacceptable thing comes in. And you talk about De'Aaron Fox. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox needs to find that thing that makes him angry every game and makes him come out and play that way. But I'd also say Kevin Huerter needs to be that guy off the bench.
That's exactly right.
And Keegan Murray needs to be that guy who didn't hesitate at all and shot 3 of 5 from 3. And Malik Monk needs to be a guy who averages 17 points. He doesn't have to have 12 assists every night, but hey, 6, 7, 8 assists. That should be who you are. Just go down the list. And all of these players should be living up to whatever they put up against the Rockets. That should be a standard that they're looking. And it's not just the numbers. It's the way you played. It's the way that you came out and you got punched in the face a couple of times, but you kept fighting. And next thing you know, you're the one who's punching. You're the one who kept your composure. You're the one who comes out on top. And that's what they have to start aspiring to be, is that group that we saw against the Rockets.
Yeah, and getting a win in Memphis would be a big step toward that tonight. Is Memphis better than you thought they'd be? Memphis is a little better than I thought they'd be.
No, I mean, look, they're going to win some games. They're going to be streaky here and there. But again, Ja Morant has to prove he can stay on the court. Now he's not dunking anymore. That's one of the things he said he's cutting down on dunks because he keeps getting hurt. He's going to do more layups and below the rim stuff. That's going to change his game. It's going to make him a lot less dynamic if that's who he's going to be. So, yeah, I think they're good right now. And it's kind of where I kept bringing them up in the conversation. But I don't know how sustainable they are for an 82-game season.
Interesting. They're pretty not significantly better than I thought they'd be, but 14-8 after 22. Just the fact that, and they've missed Ja Morant for some of those. Zach Edey has he's been out for a while now.
Yeah.
But they're getting contributions from guys like Scottie Pippen Jr. He's been really good. Like Jay Huff, just out of nowhere, just comes in and plays really well as a reserve center. I did not think that they could be, or they would be, a playoff team coming into the year. And after the first 22 games, I kind of think they could be a top 6 team.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they're at worst a play-in team. It's early, and we can't keep saying that it's early. I
I was gonna
know.
say, is it?
I know, but
December 25th.
we're gonna have to see what these teams look like. Not only then, but like the sprint to the finish line. Do they have the horses? Because the problem that Memphis has is the players they're relying on to be great and to carry them all the way through. They don't play 82, and we already saw John Morant. He missed 8 games. Jaren Jackson Jr. hasn't had his stint where he goes on the IR yet. We haven't seen Desmond Bane get hurt yet. Marcus Smart is an injury-prone player. They have a lot of players like that miss 15, 20 games a year, and I'm not sure that they're built to withstand all of that for an entire season.
14-8 to start the year. Here's what it's going to look like to start for the Kings tonight. We know the new starting 5: De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, and Domantas Sabonis for Sacramento. For the Grizzlies, looking like John Morant, Desmond Bane, Jalen Wells, the rookie from Sacramento, Brandon Clark, and Jaren Jackson Jr. It's a good starting 5. Shout out to Jalen Wells, man. 39th overall pick.
Sacramento
played really well.
Yeah, Sacramento's own.
Yeah,
he's been really good.
Him and Jared McCain.
Yeah.
The injury report, nothing new for the Kings. Trey Lyles with the calf is out. Devin Carter with his shoulder is out. For Memphis, Zach Edey, the 7'12" rookie, he is out with an ankle injury. Don't love that for him early in his career. GG Jackson injured his foot. He's out for several months. Vince Williams Jr. also out with an ankle injury. The matchup of the game is an easy one for me.
I think it's an easy one for me too.
It's De'Aaron Fox and John Morant.
Of course.
That's it.
Yeah, I think it's prime time. It's what everyone wants to see.
And can this be, and this is another reason I think this is a good spot for Sacramento, is this is where, you need motivation, you need that spark, you need to find something that's a chip on your shoulder. You don't even have to try that hard here. It's John Morant. This is a player that if you went across the country, anywhere outside of Sacramento, and said, who's a better player, John Morant or De'Aaron Fox, I guarantee the poll results outside of Sacramento are going to be like 75-25.
Probably.
For Ja.
Yep.
That is, kids want to wear John Morant shoes and John Morant jerseys, and he has gotten that hype that De'Aaron Fox is not. And that to me is all De'Aaron Fox needs. Go show that you're the better player.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, De'Aaron Fox is a better player.
I would agree.
And he's proven it. And he's a better...
And I like John Morant a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Ja guy. I would take De'Aaron.
Ja is he's gotten his own way this whole time. And I think he can still be a great player. But he has fully got in his way repeatedly. And De'Aaron Fox he's never been a guy who's had off court trouble or anything else. He's been a model NBA citizen, and the way that one of them is represented versus the other, as far as the national thought of them, is very wild.
It is insane. But hey, when you go to the playoffs, was Ja rookie when they went to the playoffs? That his rookie year? They got beat by Utah?
Maybe.
I don't remember. It was early in his career though.
Yeah.
And he just got anointed. So unanoint him. That should be the thing that makes De'Aaron Fox mad tonight. We will continue discussing this because that's what they need. They need De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, they need him to be huge.
That is going to be the key for the Kings throughout this year. And we'll have keys to victory coming up for you. The Kings and Grizzlies tonight at 5:00 should be a good one. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We'll talk keys to victory coming up in a bit right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. I mentioned the Mike Brown challenging De'Aaron Fox. And I'm sure everybody has heard the sound by this point, but just in case, here's what it sounded like. Video courtesy of the Kings Beat podcast own Brendan Nunes. Here's what Mike Brown said about De'Aaron Fox, in case you have not heard it.
I love it, but I'm going to challenge you, De'Aaron Fox. You got to figure out how to get to that level without having somebody piss you off, because you're a great player, and great players get to that level on their own, whether it's finding somebody to piss them off or finding something else. Maybe there's a 5-year-old kid that has an opponent's jersey on and not yours. That should piss you off.
There's nothing you guys can do, right? As a team, you're on your end.
What's that?
There's nothing you guys can do, coach, teammates on your end.
There's some things that we could do.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to try to do it.
Okay.
But as a great player, you got to take that upon yourself more than worry about other things. Now, if other things come along, great. But you got to figure that out.
I think it's so fascinating that he said that out loud,
Yeah.
because that, I don't know if that's a thing that you can instill in somebody. It feels, because I go back to the Legion of Boom Seahawks, 2012, 2013, 2014, that era of Seahawks. You remember Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin? Those dudes, after every game, they could be favored by 20 points and they could go win by 40. And they would come out of the game afterwards in the press and be like, yeah, we heard people talking about us. Nobody thought we'd win this game. In more colorful language than that. But it's like, wait, you're playing I forget who was bad then. You were playing Cleveland. Like, everybody thought you were going to win that game by a bunch, and you did. What are you talking about? But because one guy with 40 Twitter followers mentioned Doug Baldwin on Twitter and said, you suck, Doug Baldwin went, all right, I'm going to show that guy today.
Yeah.
And use that as like fuel. And I know that sounds like lunatic behavior. Like, who cares what rando with 40 Twitter followers says, right? Or whoever it is, rando at the grocery store who you'll never see again.
Yep.
Whoever it was, they just like inherently, like that was what they did. I wonder if it's something that you can inherently instill in somebody, or if De'Aaron Fox is just going to be the player that kind of throughout his career is awesome, but there's going to be however many games a year it is, 10, 15, 20, where something just really gets under his skin and he elevates to that like superstar level that we all expect him to get to on a regular basis.
Okay, so I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, De'Aaron Fox the other night he finished the game with like 22 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great game.
Really good game.
But it's not 45 points.
Sure.
And it's not 60.
Not even 60.
But I don't think anyone needs him to do that. It was the force and the energy and the defensive intensity that he played with that changed the feel of that game. And that's, I think, what Mike Brown is trying to talk about. And like, look, Paul Westphal talking about DeMarcus Cousins years ago said, hey, it's easier to try to tame a fire than it is to try to light a fire under somebody.
Absolutely.
I don't think that's what we're talking about with Fox. It's a little different. What you're hoping for is that Fox finds that one little tiny uptick in his sort of intensity.
Mm-hmm.
that makes him angry, and like we talked about, angry Fox is good Fox.
Mm-hmm.
And like we jokingly talked about it yesterday, that I'm going to try to say something negative to him every day or kick him in the shin as on my way out of the locker room. And we got Mark Jones to say he would do the same thing on the road.
Shout out to Mark Jones.
And Mama Fox was in the chat, and we're asking her if she could also be part of this. And like when
you hurl insults at your son, please?
Can you just call your son and say he's not invited to Christmas? Like, you're not invited to Christmas.
Just make him sad.
Yeah. But there is that thing that you're hoping that he finds. And I do think that you can find it. I do think that like every year we've seen him level up to where he's a better player. And I don't know what we're expecting from him, just like this moment in every single game. But I'll tell you, when the chips were down in the playoffs against the Golden State Warriors, that was superstar Fox.
Yep.
And so the intensity, it wasn't someone made him angry or anything else. Just the intensity was there, and we saw it. And then of course he broke his finger, and there was all kinds of problems. But outside of that, I think that it's there, and I think we will see more and more of it. But I also know that like you can't expect that from somebody every night. And if that's not who he is, if he does need to get angry in order to, become that player, if he, yesterday people were calling him David Banner in the chat.
Sure.
That makes a little bit of sense. Sometimes you need him to become Hulk.
You got to be always angry.
Yeah.
That's his secret,
I guess. But you don't want him to be always angry, because that's not always what's needed. So I think either way, he's a great player. And he should be an all-NBA player the way he's playing right now. It's just whether or not you can get that next level out of him on every single night.
I think I don't want to say all of, because it's not. They have too many good, effective NBA players to put it all on De'Aaron Fox.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of their success in terms of kind of getting where they want to go relies on this. And that's why it's such a big deal to me.
Mhm.
Because this team, I think, is going to kind of go as De'Aaron goes. And if he finds that edge on a more regular basis, I don't want to say nightly because you're not night to night. I don't think that's fair to ask. Some sickos like Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan will find that every single night, no matter what.
Mhm.
But so I think asking any other player to do that is like, hey, I think those guys are just wired a little different. But if he does, all of a sudden you're looking to me at a version of the Kings that is, even before we start talking about, oh, can they get a big to play next to Sabonis? Can they get more athletic on the wings? Even before any of that, like you level up a little bit if De'Aaron Fox is going to go be as effective as he was in that game against Houston.
Well, and I think, Kyle, the other ingredient that I'm going to point out is that when Fox leveled up, Keegan Murray leveled up, and Kevin Huerter leveled up.
Exactly.
And Malik Monk leveled up.
They're going to go as De'Aaron goes.
And Isaac Jones leveled up. And you started to see it. Sabonis leveled up. You saw them all take on the personality of their leader.
Yes, that's it.
And I guess it started before the game. Like, it started before the game. He was very vocal before the game, and then he was very vocal in the game, and then he was very vocal after the game. You hope that he's going to get that. That's probably what his group needs.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like, if it's counter to his personality and if it's a struggle, it can't be disingenuous. It has to be real. It has to be authentic, or the guys around him will realize that as well.
Yeah.
It has to be authentic. And so you're hoping that a light goes on here and that's who he becomes. But if it doesn't happen, like, it doesn't mean he's not a great player.
I kind of think it's something the Kings as a unit need to start doing more.
Yeah.
Like, just having that, I don't want to say they're passive, but it feels like a lot of times they're passive.
Mm-hmm.
Where, like, they just let the game happen to them instead of making the game happen. And the opposite of that occurred against Houston. And it has happened at other points too. But that was the first time this season in particular, it's felt like, oh, they really care about this game.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they really want this game. And you need to really want every game. You're not the Celtics. You don't get to just punt and go, call us and we'll be over there in April. Like, we'll be there. Like, no, you got to go try and get every single game, every single night.
Yeah.
Like, that has to be the level of urgency that they found against Houston. De'Aaron Fox aside, that's the level of urgency the entire team needs, night in and night out. And if you win 15 games in a row and you are well clear of 500, and you have a bad game, okay, fine. But right now, that kind of stuff just needs to be unacceptable.
Yeah.
I loved the urgency against Houston.
Yeah, I do too. And like, at some point, that's got to be who you are. Like, we've been waiting for this team to arrive, and you saw an arrival moment with in the Rockets game.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's one day and you can't prove that that's who you are, that was just like, then it just leaves us all knowing that you can be that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, we know you can be great, and the fact that you're not the rest of the time is really frustrating, and it's annoying, and it makes me think less of you, because if you've got that in you, then show me.
Yeah, it's why the start of the season's been so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of what we all expected this year. I had 51 wins. I expected more of that on a nightly basis, and we'll see if we get it moving forward.
Yeah, the team that showed up that night,
Memphis.
that team that showed up against Houston, that team would win 50 plus, and they would win a playoff series. They would win, like, everything that we've been talking about. That
was the maximized version of the team.
I said it yesterday. The only team in the league that I think beats you when you're playing that well is probably the Boston Celtics, and it's just because they shoot like 300 threes, and you don't defend the three well enough, and they hit a bunch of them.
Yeah,
and
Boston's a tough matchup for everybody.
They're a tough matchup. But outside of Boston, I don't think that there should be a just knockdown, right in a loss for the Kings with the rest of the league. And the fact that they haven't played up to that standard right now, that's on them. It is. But that should still be the standard. There should not be another team in the league that you look at and say, oh, well, this is a loss.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to lose this game. And I don't know how many times now I walk into a game thinking, they're probably going to lose tonight. And they need to get past that. They need to get to the
Mhm.
point where every game is an expected win.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they've got that in them, but they need to find it.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I haven't even looked at what the spread tonight is in the point spread. Real quick before we get out of here, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, well, formerly of ESPN. I'm so used to saying that. Woj told Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated that he has prostate cancer.
Mm.
And he said it's manageable, it's confined. He's gonna go get it checked every however many months. He's gonna have regular checkups, gonna change his eating and sleeping habits and all this stuff to help manage it. He might need surgery at some point. But he said that it was part of his decision to leave ESPN. But he said another reason is that, and again, he told this to Sports Illustrated's Chris Mannix, that part of his decision to leave ESPN came after attending Chris Mortensen's funeral. Chris Mortensen, you'll remember, longtime NFL insider for ESPN, died of throat cancer. And Woj attends his funeral and realizes that like none of his other colleagues are there.
Mm.
And he told Chris Mannix, quote, "It made me remember that the job isn't everything. In the end, it's just going to be your family and close friends. And it's also like nobody gives an S. Nobody remembers breaking stories in the end. It's just vapor." And we all like speculated about like, oh man, why did he leave? Is it because of Shams? Is it this? Is it that? And the fact that my man just had a moment of clarity,
Yeah,
makes me feel like I'm rooting for him. I hope that he is cancer free as soon as possible. The fact that that was why he dipped out makes me feel like good for him. Dude.
yeah.
Good for realizing that now. And it's sad that it had to come to that. But salute to Woj, man.
Yeah.
That's not an easy decision to make. And the fact that he went, hey, man.
All of this, it's not worth it.
It's all, yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to Woj. Again, you can read that in Sports Illustrated. Chris Mannix wrote that. All right. Cam Inman, Bay Area News Group, author of the San Francisco 49ers, A Curated History of the Faithful, is going to join us next. We're going to talk about his book, which is fascinating. I just started diving in last night. His book is fascinating. Get it for the 49ers fan on your Christmas list. We're going to talk to him about that. And then what's gone wrong this season and what does it look like moving forward? Can't wait to chat with Cam. Covered the 49ers for a long time. He will be joining us next on The Insiders. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Leader. And clear. I have to fix this, and then I've got to call Cam. Okay?
All right. Cool. Oh, Memphis is favored by 3.5 tonight. Interesting. Ooh, a 6.0 earthquake near Eureka.
Yeah.
That's not good. 6.6?
That's crazy.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I'll be right back. I
Yep.
think. Hang on. Okay. Oh my God. Really? Is that a real thing?
What? There's Charlie. Hello.
How are
Look
you?
at that Christmas sweater. I like it.
You get it?
As Space Invaders? No. I don't know. Pull your shirt down so I can. Oh, Nakatomi Plaza. Oh, yeah, yeah. Of course. I'm a huge, huge diehard fan.
Christmas doesn't start until Hans Gruber falls.
That's right. I have a ho ho ho. Now I have a machine gun MF shirt. I guess there's a big earthquake. 6.6.
In Humboldt.
Eureka. Yeah. They said somebody said their wife got evacuated from their building. Now it's up to 7.0. Boy, you guys keep changing the statistics here. Yeah, they said their wife got evacuated from their building in downtown Sac.
Really?
Yeah, at least that's what I think they said.
I didn't feel any shaking. We got the notification.
Oh, I didn't get a thing on my phone. That's weird. Was there a reason? Do I need to shut off the mic for a sec?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just came in to say hi.
Oh, okay, cool. Wow.
Okay.
He's back. And now he's gone. And now he's gone, and maybe we'll be back again. I don't have that Christmas sweater. Yeah, not good. Stay safe out there, people. And you worry what that means. Well, I don't know. I was just reading in the chat. Someone asked this question. I don't know what the aftershocks are doing, and not only that, but like in downtown Sac, that could still shake a tall building. West League. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. Swing building. There's a lot of hustle and bustle going on behind me. Kyle's back.
Woo!
See, this is what I was worried about right here. The tsunami from that, because that's on the coast. That's not good.
That's terrifying.
Yep.
Okay. That's it. I'm gonna open that.
Scary, scary.
Create that. Okay. Here we go. Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're rocking with you until noon, and then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and KC, and they will take you up to 4 o'clock. Reminder, at 4:30, we've got Thursday Night Football for you tonight. It is the Packers at the Lions. But before we talk about some of the top teams in the NFC, let's talk about one of the struggling teams in the NFC with Bay Area News Group beat writer and columnist. He is the author of the San Francisco 49ers, A Curated History of the Faithful, Cam Inman. Thank you so much for hopping on, man. How are you?
Oh, dude, I'm doing good now. I haven't had to watch bad football in about 3 days, but the weekend's coming.
Yeah, it sure is. We're all bracing ourselves for that
Right.
red hot 49ers Bears matchup where
Oh, jeez.
I think if the Bears win, they'll be tied with the 49ers in the draft.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a big deal. A lot on the line.
It's pretty amazing. I think the Niners have the same record as the Cowboys, and it's like, what the heck just happened for the last 3 months?
Well, I want to chat about your book, but let's start there. What do you think has happened?
You know what? I'm not going to blame it on injuries because this team was not doing well, even when they had most guys healthy. There's just been, and I'm not going to blame it on the contract negotiations. It's just there's every week, almost every day, there's been something negative. There hasn't been anything enjoyable about this season. Even some of their last few wins were like great escapes. Like when they held a fourth quarter lead. That's something they don't do very well, and they pulled off a win. So it was even like when they were leaving Tampa Bay, that was the last time they won, which seemed like about a month ago. Just the look on everybody's faces was just like, it wasn't happy. It was just like, oh my gosh, we got away with one. And, Deebo Samuel's like striking our long snapper and yelling at our kicker. There's so many things wrong with this team. And you can say it's a Super Bowl hangover if you want, but there's there's a lot of guys on this team that weren't on the Super Bowl team last year. So I'm not going to use that as an excuse either. It's just things have not clicked. And I think it's a bad mesh of personnel. I don't think the coaches have gotten enough out of these guys. In fact, I mean, this is my 25th year covering the 49ers in the NFL. And I've said for the last couple of weeks that this is the most underachieving 49ers team I've covered.
Wow.
That's a tough pill to swallow there.
Yeah, and it's hard to argue.
Yeah,
they were supposed to be so good, and they're so not.
I would agree with you. To be honest with you, I think that there is a certain amount, like whether we want to acknowledge injuries or not, there is a certain amount of, losing players that are so incredibly valuable, like McCaffrey for so much part of the season, Brandon Ayuk. But at the same time, the depth of this team just wasn't there. And I think that that's what got exposed as much as anything. When you lost the big guys, you spent so much money on the big guys that there was no money for that next level of player. Tough stuff.
Yeah, there were two top.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, you look at the Detroit Lions, and when Aiden Hutchinson went down, I'm like, oh, the Lions are cooked, and they're still rolling. They're playing tonight. That'll be good to see how they're doing. But like that's going into this last off season. I agree with you. I said the Niners have the key players in place, right? So it's about getting depth, and the players they added just have not panned out, and they ignored the defensive line in the draft, which was very unusual for them. Instead, they brought in Leonard Floyd, Malik Collins, Jordan Elliott, and those guys are fine, but they're not A-listers. And now you're seeing why. And they've had no depth. And Nick Bosa got hurt, like 2.5 games ago. Mm-hmm. And since he left the stage, the 49ers run defense has also collapsed. I mean, it's not just Bosa's presence as a pass rusher. He does a lot to that defense. It's just the whole presence of him. And they've allowed 8 rushing touchdowns in the 10 quarters they played without Bosa. It's remarkable. They went through the first 14 games of the 2011 season without allowing a rushing touchdown. And they've already allowed 19 rushing touchdowns with 5 games to go. That's more than any season under Shanahan. And it's really damning for what a defense can do.
Cam Inman, he covers the 49ers for the Bay Area News Group. He also wrote the book, The San Francisco 49ers, A Curated History of the Faithful. You can get it now wherever books are sold. Do you buy the idea that the 49ers would even consider getting rid of Kyle Shanahan after this year?
I want to say I don't buy it because I think the hierarchy really has always appreciated Kyle. And even though there's some really stinging defeats in the playoffs over the years, they know a good thing. They know how bad things were before Shanahan was here. They have a great working relationship with Jed York, the owner, and with John Lynch, the general manager. And it's worked. And this year there's just been so many issues where I don't trace it to Kyle. Is there something systemically wrong with the 49ers? I don't think so. I think this is more of an anomaly. I think next year, if you kind of actually, if you want to peek ahead, the schedule, if you want to start playing the schedule game, it should be a lot kinder than this year's schedule. And I think everybody knew they were probably going to lose the Green Bay and Buffalo road trips. I mean, if you saw that back in March or April, that's going to be a tough swing. Mm-hmm. Those weekends bracketing Thanksgiving, going in the cold weather. And it was, but how they lost 38-10 and 35-10 was just appalling. And okay, they only scored 10 points in each game, but the defense was terrible in those games. And it's just like Fred Warner's playing on a broken leg. He's not making any double-digit tackle games anymore, and there's nobody around Fred. And it's just, what are they doing here? What the heck happened? And so it's like they can't wait for this season to be over, I think, fast enough, and they got 5 games to go.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it feels like this entire season, you've just been waiting. So I think early in the season was like, okay, Ayuk took forever to sign. We're just waiting for him to get back in shape. And we're waiting for Ricky Pearsall. And we're waiting for Christian McCaffrey. And then by the time you're done waiting, even Dre Greenlaw, you've been waiting for it, Hufanga. And then by the time that any of that happens, it was just way too late. They had lost way too many games where they had leads and really difficult season.
I think what you're saying with those defeats to the NFC West teams where they gave away fourth quarter leads, they were so demoralizing and such gut punches.
Yeah.
And for weeks you would say, oh, well, we would be this record had we won those games. Well, you didn't. You can't say that. I mean, and so it's the we would have been, woulda, coulda, shoulda, and that's why you're in last place.
Cam Minman covers the 49ers for the Bay Area News Group, author of The Franchise, the San Francisco 49ers, a curated history of the faithful. Real quick, before we get into the book, Cam, do you think Brock Purdy gets paid this offseason?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think there's any doubt. The only doubt I had, to be honest, was when he was hurt 2 weeks ago, right? And I'm like, what is the nature of this injury? This is massive if he cannot throw the rest of the season. Because they shut him down and he didn't play in Green Bay, and you're going, okay, it's a shoulder. Now listen, there's been some really bad history of 49er quarterbacks and shoulders, from Alex Smith to Kaepernick, Garoppolo even. And you don't think it's anything major, and that becomes a big deal. So I'm still kind of a little hesitant on it because, we're still in season, but the fact that he got back to playing last week, he only threw for 94 yards or whatever, which is really bad, but it was really bad conditions and a blizzard. And he's out there throwing this week full steam go. So that's great. So I think that's the only hindrance to him, whether he was going to get paid or not, is if he had like a career threatening arm injury. I don't think that's the case. I think he's going to get paid. I think everybody here really knows that Brock has the it factor. He's a really good leader, can process defenses really well. He's added mobility to his game this season. Where he's escaping the pocket maybe a little too soon sometimes, but I think the wide receivers are not helping him whatsoever. And I think the Niners really did get a gem with the last pick of the 2022 draft, and they've been able to pay him on the cheap for a couple of years, and come January, that's when the extensions are going to become available, and they need to hammer that out pretty quick because they've talked about it, that they want to reward him, and he's your quarterback. There's no question about it. You're not going to bring in a Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers. If you do, that is a massive red flag of what the heck is going on, Kyle. Everybody knew this was your quarterback, and you got to play him.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's dive into this book. As someone who has been a 49ers fan my entire life, I'm super excited to dig into it. The process of writing this, though, what was it that made you go, you know what? I'm going to dive into this venture and sort of put everything on hold and really focus on something that is almost a legacy for you, right?
Yeah, it's funny. It's not necessarily, nothing ever goes on hold. It was, I wrote this. I wrote this during last season for the most. I had some during the summer and some during the season last year. But Triumph Books, the publisher, approached me and said, we're doing this series of books called The Franchise. We'd like you to do the 49er one. And it allowed me to kind of go back through my archives, but also contact, people I've covered over 25 years to get some news stories as well. And so what it is, it's essentially everything you need to know about the 49ers. And mostly from, I don't ignore like the 50s and 60s or 70s, but everybody knows, like, for the most part, the Niners took off in the 80s. Right. And I was a kid growing up here in the Bay Area, watching the Niners, and then I started covering them in 2000. And I've been very fortunate to get one-on-one interviews with, everybody, like the main hierarchy, all the legends in the Niners. And so I can delve back through some of those archives and relay some stories and insights that you may not know about them. It starts with the quarterbacks with the 49ers. And so I did about, 8 or 9 chapters on quarterbacks, some on the legends, some on the coaches, the Super Bowls, the stadiums, free agents, draft picks. So everything you need to know about the Niners is in there. So if you love the 49ers still, you're going to love the book. If you're angry at the 49ers this year, go buy the book and escape into the past. And the book fits into stockings. So it's a wonderful stocking stuffer for your 49er fans out there. I have not totally tested that, but I got my wife's stocking out the other day and put it above the chimney. And I go, yeah, I think the book would fit in there. We're going to have to do a little marketing. And so it's been fun just going around talking to fans and selling the book on the side. And I got a book signing tonight in Pleasanton at Sidetrack Bar and Grill. And it's always neat to run into fans. And even I did one last Friday in Livermore at Altamont Beer Works, and they were great. And just having a couple beers and talking to Niner fans is the right way to do it, I think. But I had to catch a red-eye flight to Buffalo that night. And so two Niner fans were sitting next to me in the bar. And next thing I know, they bought 2 books off me. And I'm like, man, I should do this more often, just to have beer and books.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There you go.
Especially at Altamont. Great brewery. Love Altamont very much.
It was very good.
He's Cam Inman. He covers the San Francisco 49ers for the Bay Area News Group. And again, his book is The Franchise, San Francisco 49ers, a curated history of the faithful. What was your, you mentioned that you went back into your archives.
Mm-hmm.
What was your research process like? Were you reaching out for interviews? What was your kind of process in putting together a kind of front to back history of the 49ers here?
I think I did it like one person at a time or one coach or team at a time. Just kind of like, I would think what like struck me that I wanted people to know or something. Like, so say I did a chapter on Bill Walsh, and everybody knew what Bill's legacy was here to set up a Super Bowl winner, to kind of revolutionize the NFL with the West Coast offense and coaching practices. But the chapter on Bill, I focus actually more on what he did for minority hiring in the NFL and the big push he had for that. And the NFL still carries that to this day of the Bill Walsh Fellowship, Minority Internship Fellowship, because it meant a lot to Bill. And I remember sitting down with him and talking to him about that a lot. And he said it was really hard to do in the 80s around the NFL because there was like some racist owners that didn't want this. And Bill really pushed for it. And so it's kind of like stories like that kind of been buried that you don't really realize. When I was doing the chapter on the 49ers last Super Bowl win 30 years ago, dating ourselves, I reached out to my guy, Steve Young, who's probably my favorite athlete to deal with, even though I never actually covered a game of his because he was done by the time I came. But Steve's great. And so I go, Steve, what do you have from that 94 season Super Bowl, like on display in your house or something? He goes, he's like, I got nothing on display in my house. I don't want like my kids to see all that. He's like, all that stuff's in a storage box somewhere. His Super Bowl MVP trophy is in BYU's like Heritage Hall or something. And it just, just kind of circling back on, story ideas and angles. And it was a fun project. It was more fun than I thought it would be. And then as a writer, you hate to reread a lot of the stuff you write because you go, oh, that wasn't that good. I'll tell you, I had to reread this book a couple of times and I'm cool with it. So I think everybody will.
Oh, nice.
It. Yeah. So everybody go out and get a copy. And you know what? It's like, it's in some bookstores like Barnes & Noble. I don't know if it's carried it because Barnes & Noble is weird about it, but with some of the books that they're doing out here in the Bay Area. You can go on to triumphbooks.com or you go on to caminman.com. But if you want like a personalized copy that's signed by me, just DM me on Instagram at 49ers.cam or on Twitter at caminman. And I've been doing that for fans, and I mail it. I go down to my post office on Black Avenue, see my postman, Mike, and ship them away. And it's all good. Everybody gets happy for the holidays.
Well, I'm going to send you my copy so I can get it autographed.
There it is.
That works.
That we could do that, or you could just meet me and have a beer sometime. So
that sounds great. I'll hit you up. We'll do that. We'll do books and beer. That sounds fantastic. Cam, thank you so much for hopping on with us today. Thank you so much for all your work covering the 49ers and for writing this book. I can't wait to continue digging in to that. Cam Inman, Bay Area News Group, The Franchise, the San Francisco 49ers, a curated history of the faithful. That's the book. Cam, thank you so much, man.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much. Have a good week.
Yep, you do the same. There he goes. Cam Inman. I'm telling you, man, if you've got a 49er fan in your life, my favorite thing about the book is that, we're not being paid for this. I'm telling you legitimately. This is the way it's broken down. It's broken down into like part 1 is quarterbacks, and then it goes through 9 different sections of quarterbacks.
Oh, wow.
It's 8 quarterbacks, and then there's like the next one. There's legends, which is Bill Walsh, Dwight Clark, Ronnie Lott, Jerry Rice, guys like that. There's stuff on all the coaches. There's stuff on Super Bowls. There's stuff on like trades and free agency. And it's just broken down into like these bite-sized pieces.
Okay.
That way you don't have to dive into this whole, like you can just read it in little sections of a time. You can pick it up and pick a section and read an essay out of it. It's very, very fun. And Cam's an entertaining writer. So I think the 49ers fan in your life will enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to settling in and reading it. To be honest, I need to do the same thing for King's history, especially with, we're at 40 years in Sacramento, and we've already lost some of the folks from the original, moving the team here and everything, but it's probably the moment to capture a lot of it. And so, yeah, I would like to settle in and do the same thing, but for Kings fans.
I'd read it.
I'd hope someone would. We'll see though.
Yeah, man, it's the thing. It's so funny with the 49ers because I can't decide if like things are obviously bleak this season. About as shout out Memphis. It's obviously bad this year, but I can't tell if this is bad. Like, the Shanahan era is spiraling, and they're going to be looking for a new coach in 2026 or 2027, or is this, yeah, hey, you know what, downswing this year, but they're going to be back heading back on an upward trajectory next year.
Yeah.
I couldn't, because I don't know what their roster looks like next year. I don't know if, is Brock Purdy going to be that dude? Is Christian McCaffrey going to be back to being Christian McCaffrey next year because he's got a full offseason to kind of rehab and get right? I have no clue. What does Brandon Ayuk look like? Can George Kittle have another all-pro season? It's so interesting what's going to happen to the 49ers here over the next couple of years, because I think there's two legitimate windows where one of them is, hey, they fade into obscurity, or they're back to Super Bowl contention.
Well, to be honest with you, they can't miss on this draft. This is the year where, like, regardless of, you have to set yourself up long term with this draft, and you cannot make egregious errors throughout. You have to fortify the offensive line. You have to fortify the defensive line. You've got to get young players that can do that. And then, like, you're going to have to make some really tough decisions on some veterans that have been great. And, you hate to see a guy like Kyle Juszczyk to maybe have him go out as, a guy who had like a earth-shattering fumble in like a really tough game. And, that might be like what you remember him as an older player. But like, sometimes you do have to move on, and you've got to continuously try to reinvent yourself. I think this is going to be one of those reinventing off seasons, but I don't think that they're going to go away from their core yet. I just don't I think they're still going to, like, McCaffrey's still going to be a huge part of it. I think Kittle will still be.
Is Deebo Samuel on the roster in August?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, I don't think so. But I do think, like, Ayuk will be back. They'll pay Purdy. I think that Trent Williams will be back. I think that Fred Warner is going to stick around, and they're going to be able to fight through this thing and try to piece it back together. I don't think that they're that far away, but clearly they took a couple of stabs here this year where they went away from high-priced defensive linemen and they brought in, cheaper versions, and that did not work. They tested it. It didn't work. I expect them to try something different next season. And, it's not going to be easy, but I definitely think that we'll see at least one or two more seasons of like a last hurrah from this group. And then it's, how do you transition? And that's where this draft comes in. If you don't hit it in this draft, if you don't, come away with, 3 or 4 starters, but then more depth, long term,
like contributors, legit contributors.
Then like you really let this team down, this franchise down, and it could have long term effects, because that's what we're seeing right now. Bad drafts have plagued this franchise.
And the whole thing with I want to two things on this. One, the whole thing with like firing Kyle Shanahan. Part of the reason that everything good?
Yeah, everything's good.
Oh, okay.
Just need to give a little information just for people.
Oh, okay, perfect. Charlie's going to jump in and give us some information. But that's the whole like fire Kyle Shanahan thing.
Yep.
If you keep him for another year or two and it doesn't go well, you miss a year or two. There's a chance if you fire him that you don't get your next head coach right, and you set your franchise back like a decade.
No, totally.
Which is why, and the other thing, I was reading this, Kyle Posey wrote this at NinersNation.com. I encourage everybody to go check it out. He highlights like all the personal traumas that 49ers players have dealt with this year, and the locker room has dealt with this year. You had Ricky Pearsall get shot. Travarius Ward and Trent Williams both lost babies.
Yeah.
Like that's horrible. Just on a human level, forget football, forget fumbles and turnovers and special teams. To deal with that just personally, and to have your brother and your teammate who you're around every day be dealing with that like that. I don't think that the impact of those things can be understated at all on them as people and as a result on the football team.
I totally agree.
But again, Kyle Posey wrote a lot about that in Niners Nation. Encourage everybody to go check it out. Charlie, what's up?
I just wanted to drop in for just a second. This earthquake in Humboldt County is creating a little more chaos than what normally they would. There are actually two earthquakes. One on land, one in the ocean, and the one in the ocean is at least a 7.0, and they have issued a tsunami warning that is going from the mid-Oregon coast all the way down to Santa Cruz. And so they are taking this very seriously. They are asking people to get away from the coast. And I just wanted to let our listeners know that if you were thinking about going to the Bay Area or going to the coast at this point, you might want to rethink your plans. If you're going to have to go anyway, it would be a good idea for you to tune into like our sibling station, KCBS, which is at 7:40 a.m. to stay abreast of what's happening. They haven't seen any tsunami waves yet. All this information is very fluid at this point, but they're taking it quite seriously because it was a pretty deep earthquake and because of the size of it. So there is a legitimate tsunami warning from the mid-Oregon coast all the way down to Santa Cruz. And if you're having to go to the Bay Area, you might want to think about not going.
Skip that today. Skip that trip.
If you do have to go, you're going to want to get some information because it could be a real mess.
Yeah, I'm seeing they're predicting the tsunami to reach San Francisco around 12:10 Pacific Standard Time. So just a heads up. Yeah.
Oh, Malanta.
Yeah.
Well, Charlie, thank you for the info. We will keep you, please. If there's anything else that comes out, please just jump in.
Anything that breaks, we will let you know.
Very good. Thanks, Charlie. All right, we're gonna. On that note, we're gonna step aside momentarily. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are sponsored by Jiffy Lube, and this is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Hey, everybody, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen, and we are here to tell you about Jiffy Lube. There may not be a more important time of year to get your car into Jiffy Lube than right now. With the inclement weather, you don't want to be stranded with a dead battery where it's cold, and you can't even be inside your warm car because your battery's dead.
No, that's right, Kyle.
Jiffy Lube will take care of that. Your windshield wipers. We talk about the windshield wipers all the time. You don't want the rain to start falling, and you realize you haven't changed your wipers, and now you're just smearing water all over your windshield. Nothing worse than that. Jiffy Lube will take care of your wipers.
Yeah, so for me, I like to go out and check all of our cars. I have two young sons that both drive. My wife's car as well. Make sure your headlights are good and bright. Make sure that your car is turning over the right way in the morning and that battery isn't coming close to dying. Make sure that you're checking other people's windshield wipers in your family because your kids might be irresponsible like mine.
It's something you don't think about until you need it.
That's right. And you go to jiffylube.com right now. They have a $33 off coupon that you can download right on the site. For synthetic oil change, save you $33. It's a great deal. So they've been a great partner of ours, and it's a lot because we believe in what they do. They're open 7:30 to 5 every day, Monday through Saturday. They've been in Sacramento since 1984. Super reliable, great people over Jiffy Lube.
Yep. Find the Jiffy Lube look. Jesus, here we go. 3, 2, and 1. Sorry, guys. We'll fix that in post. Find the Jiffy Lube location nearest you at jiffylube.com. That's jiffylube.com. We did it.
Yes. I may have butchered that slightly yesterday.
Michael Jordan with a spectacular move.
Oof. Oh, wow. Okay, so Fort Bragg, California, they're estimating 11:10. Crescent City, 11:20. San Francisco, 12:10. Charleston, Oregon, 11:40. Brookings, Oregon, 11:25. And Port Orford, Oregon, 11:20. Stay safe out there, people. What's going on, everybody? Oh, Steven Castaneda. Who should you start? Goff or Caleb Williams? Oh. Jay Lee, that's me. If you're on the Golden Gate Bridge, get off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, I would highly recommend not being on the bridge.
Come on now. You've got 40 minutes. Get off the bridge. Just in case. It's not just a clever guy down the hallway. It's a fun saying as well. Yeah, we should have Faraz on Friday.
I don't know why not.
Boy, this is crazy stuff.
I don't love it for the A's that the consensus response is, wow, this is an incredible deal for Severino. Don't love that. Bart is completely shutting down.
Ooh.
Trains are being held out of the Transbay tube, which goes from Oakland to San Francisco, goes under the bay. We are clearing trains out of underground stations in San Francisco and on the peninsula. Oh my God. Damn, man.
Yeah, crazy. I did not get any alerts on my phone.
I forgot my Christmas sweater at home. Like a dork. So I gotta go get one.
What you could do, you
New
could
sweater day for
exchange
me.
your rice cooker for a Christmas sweater.
No, I'm giving my rice cooker to just in case.
I'm just messing with you.
I hope he likes it.
I didn't think to wear a Christmas sweater today.
Try to decide if I'm going to go ugly Christmas sweater or regular Christmas sweater.
Mm.
The reason I don't do the ugly one is because I wear that like once. And it stays in my closet. Whereas if I get a real one.
I like your cardigans.
Thanks, man. Landing in the cardigan zone was a big moment in my life. Oh, I never cut the first hour. Whoops.
Yes, Norm, we did let Kyle in.
Barely. It was touch and go. Pause. "30 seconds. Yeah, I'm inland enough that I should be okay.
Yeah.
At least I hope. There we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham there. I'm Kyle Madsen. The Kings face the Grizzlies tonight at the FedEx Forum down in Memphis. It's a big one for the Kings, man. Like this is a stretch of schedule where again, not overreacting to one game in their win against Houston, but the steps were good. Now you just got to keep taking those steps. Like that's what this is about. It's only a fluke if it was like what am I trying to, like, we're not overreacting, but it's positive, so it's like trying to carry that. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah,
talk now.
It's like a put up or shut up moment for the Kings.
Thank you. That's
like, look, who do you think you're going to be this season? Who do you want to be this season? You dictate who you want to be. Like, I think one of the biggest things for me is that this team is allowing other teams to dictate who they're going to be.
Yep.
And we have this, every coach has ever come through Sacramento. It's not about what the other team does. It's about what we do. And to be honest, this team hasn't been good enough in very specific aspects of the game. And they allow the opponent, doesn't matter who it is, to take advantage of those deficiencies. You know, whether it's 3-point shooting, whether it's 3-point defense, whatever it might be, the Kings allow the opposition to dictate the flow of the game. And this is a moment where you can no longer do that. You've run out of time. You've run out of games to lose. You have to start winning, or you're going to fall way, way behind in the Western Conference. It's just brutal.
So, how do they do it? How do they get a win? Let's get to keys to victory. James Ham, key number 1 for Sacramento Kings victory tonight.
Let me see if I can find my keys. Keep that fighting feeling. Like, this team, I thought that was like absolutely impressive. The fight that they put up against Houston. Houston tried to bait them into a bunch of things, and they became the aggressors. They became the hunters, not the hunted. And I thought it was this weird switch that I didn't know that this team had, but they found it, and that's got to carry over. They've got to figure out that that's who they have to be. The team that showed up in the second, third, fourth quarters of that win over Houston, that's the team that has to show up for the next 60 games.
Yeah, was that the hallelujah moment, or did you get pissed off one night and win a game?
Yeah.
That's it. Number 1 for me, along the same lines, what's going to make De'Aaron Fox mad?
Yeah.
Can something make him mad? And I think we talked about a key matchup earlier, or matchup of the game. Ja Morant, look across from you. That's a guy that everybody, consensus around the league outside of Sacramento, would likely be, Ja Morant's ahead of De'Aaron Fox.
He's a guy that might take your all-NBA spot.
Man.
And could be the difference between you making X amount of dollars and maybe $80,000 more. I mean, $80 million more, $60 million more in a max money deal. Go take it from him.
Do we think De'Aaron's listening right now?
Well, I've got Mark Jones going to make him angry. Like, Mark Jones is going to do the work today.
Okay. Because I was just going to say, like, Ja is better.
Oh.
I'm taking Ja.
I'm
drafting all the point guards.
If you're redrafting right now, you're taking Ja.
Taking Ja.
if you had a vote for all NBA right now, you're going to put Ja's name.
Ja's
got it. All-star nod. It's Ja. Clearly. Kyle out there trying to put bulletin board material. I got you.
I'm doing my best. What do you think? Ja Morant goes for 50 tonight? Maybe 60?
Yeah. All layups.
Oh, easy work against a guy like De'Aaron Fox.
No dunks, just layups.
No dunks, just layups and vibes. Number 2 for you.
It's not about them, it's about you. This is one of those things where, like, again, every team in the league plays the Sacramento Kings and busts them up from the 3-point line. Like, that's not a them problem, that's a you problem. And I think Mike Brown, again, has done a really good job over the past of saying, hey, we got to focus on us. We got to focus on us. And it's like, hey, you haven't been good enough. Straight up. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You can beat good teams. You can lose to bad teams. That's a you problem. That's not an opponent. I have yet to see a single opponent that is just so much better than the Kings that they can't compete.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's on you.
Yep.
And so you got to find whatever it is that makes you good that night and play to your strengths and play as a team and get everyone involved and do what you did, like bottle everything from the Houston game and bring it to Memphis.
I'm going to piggyback off of that one. I'm going to go a little out of order here if you're following along on our sheet, James. Number 2 for me is along those same lines. Live and die by the 3 tonight, man. Memphis gives up a ton of them.
Ton.
So shoot them. I don't care. I would rather Keegan go 3 for 10 than 3 for 4. Put them up, man. Like that. Just I would love to see them get those shots up because they're going to be there. The Grizzlies will give you your 3-point shots, so go take them.
Yeah, their goal is to collapse the lane and take away the drive.
Yep.
They're doing exactly what the Kings are trying to do.
Yep.
They're giving up so many threes. The percentage isn't high.
Yeah.
But they're giving up a ton of threes every single night.
And Jaren Jackson is a great defender around the rim, and that's where he hangs out. So go take advantage of the open 3-point line.
Okay.
Number 3.
What do I got from number 3? Hit the offensive glass. Okay, so when you shoot a ton of threes, you need to be crashing. Shoot a ton of threes, and if you're missing, it's okay. This is the worst offensive rebounding team, or one of the worst. They're 26 in the league. They're giving up 12 offensive rebounds a game. That is crazy.
That's so many offensive rebounds.
If you're gonna get the crash zone, hit the crash zone, find the spray 3, hit the hot guy, like it's all sitting there for you. This is the game where they give up a ton of threes, they give up a ton of offensive rebounds, and those are directly correlated.
Yep.
A ton of threes, a bunch of long rebounds. They're there for the taking. Go get them.
My last key ties in with that one. You got to let Jaren Jackson shoot it. Jaren Jackson Jr. wants to hoist threes. That is his game. I think he's shooting 33% or something this year, but he's going to fire away. So when he wants to do that, great. And if he's going to make a couple, even better, because that means he's going to keep on shooting them. That means he's not down rebounding, and it means it's not letting John Morant take shots. It's not letting Desmond Bane, who's a better shooter, take shots. If Jaren Jackson Jr. wants to hoist threes all night, go ahead and let him. I think he averaged more threes per game last year than rebounds.
Yes, he did.
3-point attempts?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Stuff that guy in a locker.
Yeah, stuff him in a locker. I totally agree. And like, I really like Brandon Clark as like a defensive. He has not been the same player since the injury. And that's to be expected. I mean, he might regain some of who he was before after the Achilles tear. But this is a team that does not have, with Zach Edey out, does not have great size in the post.
Nope.
Sabonis should just tear these guys up, and he should have like a 15, 18, 20 rebound game.
Yep.
This is it's right there for the taking.
Watch out for Jay Huff, dude. I'm telling you, man.
You
He's
like Jay Huff?
I'm a big Jay Huff guy.
And
gonna grab a rebound, he'll shoot a 3, and looks like a guy named Jay Huff.
Yeah, we already decided. This is Jay Huff looks like a guy who would be named Jay Huff.
Imagine what Jay Huff looks like. That's what he looks like.
That's him.
You nailed it. Do the Kings win tonight, you think?
I think they do. I think they have carryover.
I'm not ready.
You're not?
I'm not ready to bet on them yet. Unless they were favored by 1.5. But I'm not. You got to show me, man. One win is great. But until they start stringing some of these games together, I'm not. I can't buy it. I have way more evidence of them being the team that face plants in this game than I do of them being the team that continues coming out swinging.
Yeah.
So I think the Grizzlies win tonight. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay.
I've been wrong before.
You have been wrong before.
I know a lot of people don't think so, but it has happened before. All right. Hey, real quick, delivering Christmas. Join ESPN 1320 in making a child's holiday season that much brighter. Drop off new unwrapped toys at our ESPN 1320 studios located in Roseville, California. Thanks. Located here in Roseville from November 25th up until December 13th. We're open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. on weekdays, so bring those new unwrapped toys and help make a child's holiday season that much brighter with delivering Christmas with ESPN 1320. All right. That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Kings and Grizzlies are at 5 o'clock tonight, but I want to remind you, we've also got a big-time Thursday night football game coming up for you as well. It's Packers at Lions at 4:30 right here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader. Yeah, I just can't. I'm until I see them string some games together, I can't buy into it. I won't be fooled.
Okay. We do have a little bit of breaking news
I do love some breaking news
from the NBA communications division. Houston Rockets head coach Ime Udoka, forward Tari Eason, and center Alperen Şengün have all been fined $50,000, $35,000, and $15,000 respectively. So $50,000 for Udoka, which is probably, that's what I said. I thought he would get fined. But $35,000 for Mr. Tari Eason, who tried to go into the stands, and $15,000 for Şengün. That is a lot of money. Şengün has been fined $15,000 for directing inappropriate language towards a game official.
I wish they would publish the inappropriate language. I just want to know.
I'm going to say that you can probably see one of the words that he yells.
Okay.
That starts with a P and looks like he may have either spit on him or said right on top of his head.
He used the Luka word.
Probably.
That's Luka's go-to. I know from firsthand experience.
Oh, that's right.
I can't. I hope Damian's coming in for the handoff.
The sweater.
Because the sweater's great.
Yeah.
But I just witnessed one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen in my life, and I can't wait to ask him about it.
Oh?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm so you have no
I'm here, everybody.
Yeah, you have no idea how excited I am that you're here right now. I'm turning your mic on.
Okay, turn the mic on.
I want you to know that I saw that dap with New Aaron.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's terrific. Yeah, it's all no. So I don't know what he was.
He went in. See, here's the thing. He went in for the fist bump.
Yeah.
And he went strong fist bump. Like, it wasn't like he was hanging it out there. Like, no, he went strong fist bump. You went, all right, I got it. You locked in. You went, I got this. And then he started to open his hand. Like, oh, wait, I don't want to do a fist bump. And then
so, okay.
That was, oh my God. I have anxiety watching that.
No, it was bad. It was just like all bad. So what happened was, and let me get the stream going here. Stand by 3, 2, and we're here.
Damian Barley.
So no, what happened was he fist bumped KC, and then he goes to show me something on his phone, and I think he puts his hands up late, but then his arm goes up, and I'm like, he's going for a hug.
Oh, no.
Like, okay. And then the hand goes back down. And then I'm like, what is happening? And then the hand goes back up. And I'm like, I don't know what's okay. What is it?
This is my nightmare.
Oh, it's bad. It was like all bad. But what he was trying to show me a picture from this morning. And I wasn't reading the cues. He had walked over to show it to me earlier, but me and Justine had gotten into a fight yesterday, and it wasn't an actual fight. It was just silence, which she knew was bad, and so she came over to like kiss and make up, and he realized that, well, not literally, but yeah, that was bad. That was just awful.
Tough. That was tough to watch,
and you can't redo it.
I watched it happening right here.
It's just awful.
It's the first time I met Zabo, I botched the dap really. Yeah, I know, it's terrible. That's my biggest fear, like, especially in this line of work, where you might run into somebody famous and you might get to meet somebody famous.
So
I am terrified of botching the dap. Like, it is my number one fear in life. Spiders, heights, death, whatever it is, botching the dap is number one.
So I don't fist bump.
Oh,
that's the thing. I don't do that unless you raise your hand first.
Right.
So New Aaron is a big fist bumper.
Big fist bump guy.
I'm not. Hey, fist bump is fine and quick. Like, you second time seeing somebody later in the afternoon, like, hey. But you know me. Hey, James knows it's. Hey, come here.
Yeah.
Yes. Come here.
Yes.
First time I dap up James when he goes to leave, bring it in, full on hug.
Right.
That's what we do. Same thing with you.
Yeah.
Bring it in,
every
full on
time.
hug. Same
every
thing.
time.
Yeah. That's how I avoid the awkwardness. Is I don't do the fist bump. It's like
you dictate.
Yeah.
The interaction.
Yeah.
Much like the Kings dictated the interaction with the Rockets the other night.
They did.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Good segue.
Yeah, I love that. That was fantastic. I like that because that's what the Rockets do. That's how the Rockets got here. Like they're I use the term bullies. Like they kind of are. Like they are a physical basketball team, and they invoke their physicality on their opponents. And I don't think it's a thing of them catching opponents off guard. Like I just think that they're really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did Sacramento respond, Sacramento pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my favorite part of the game. Like we could talk about made threes and Keegan and Kevin and Isaac Jones and Malik Monk's playmaker. We can talk about that all day. But I love that they responded to getting pushed around a little bit. And I love De'Aaron. De'Aaron was still clearly my interpretation was De'Aaron was still pissed off in the post game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, no, it doesn't happen. You want to talk to me? Come on.
Come along for the ride.
Yeah, and De'Aaron is like, and that's the thing that I love about De'Aaron that I don't think he always institutes is De'Aaron can beat your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And there aren't many players, I think, in the entire league that he can't do that to.
Yep.
And the 60-49 was I think the first moment in his career where it's like, does this brother know that he's one of them?
Yes.
There aren't very many players like him in this entire league, but he's one of those guys who in my opinion, it is the only difference between him and Devin Booker. Devin Booker knows I'm him.
Mm-hmm.
And you could bring KD, you can bring Brad, you can bring whoever. I'm the one.
Yep.
And De'Aaron, I don't think has ever really fully instituted like I'm the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's his nature, like his demeanor, his character makeup, or he just doesn't recognize he really is that good.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's kind of counter to who he like when you talk to De'Aaron, he's brash. Like he said it all the time. I'm nice.
Yeah.
He does.
I can get any shot I want to, he said a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But there are those guys that it's almost like he doesn't know how to institute that on a game in and game out basis. Like he doesn't know how to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
And like I've talked about it so many times, when he's in his groove, like he floats on the floor. It's just incredible to watch.
Right.
You're like, look at him go. Like his feet are moving so fast that it just looks like he's flowing. But he has to find it. And he has to find the motivation that makes him that player every single night. And I get it. He understands it. Like if someone wants to step to him, that's when he's at his best. He needs to walk in every game understanding that every player is stepping to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just how good are they?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to show them every single night how good you are. And I think it's there. And I'm hoping that this is a moment for him. But I also love him yelling at his teammates in the locker room before the game. I love him going in the locker room afterwards and being the voice. That's what he has to find.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how do you, and I don't expect him to just say it all the time and be the guy who's yelling and screaming on the court all the time. That's not who he is, but he still has that arrogance, that cockiness to him, which I love. I totally enjoy like his personality, but it needs to show up every single night when he's on the court. And it's something that he's had a little bit of a difficult time transitioning that mentality to star, to be a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so close. You're just like, come on, man, just go. You got it.
I feel like those two games, the 60 and the 49, were big for that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they had won both of them. And, De'Aaron talked about that on Run It Back, that he wish I had hit the game winner and everybody walks off happy. Like 60 wasn't enough. But he's showing, as James pointed out right there, that, talking to teammates a little bit differently. He's showing those signs of going into full, like, I don't give a F mode, full Big Sean mode, just going out there and taking care of business on his own, which that to me is what will push him up to the next level.
What's coming up on D-Lo and Casey?
What day is it? Thursday. Marshall Harris is going to join us.
Oh,
yeah.
Sacramento legend.
Yeah, Marshall Harris from Chicago.
Chicago legend.
San Francisco 49ers are playing this weekend in a game I guess doesn't really matter anymore.
It does for the draft.
Well,
big time draft implications.
Well, I don't think the 49ers are quite there yet to worry about the draft. But he reached out. He was like, hey, I need to talk. So I'm sure Marshall's going to have some fun things to say. That's coming up at like 1:15, I think.
Can't wait. Quick correction. Bruce Banner, not David Banner.
Oh, my bad. Bruce Banner.
Incredible.
David Banner did a song.
Yes. The
My bad.
unedited version of Play changed my life.
Right.
That's a
Was
fact.
that the record? Was it Play?
Yes.
That was the big record?
Oh, yeah.
I almost said Pump
And
It
the-
Up, but that's
and
Joe.
The unedited version is insane.
Okay.
We'll talk about that tomorrow. That's James
David
Ham.
Banner, in fact, named after Bruce Banner.
Oh.
Shoot.
There we go.
Yep.
All right. There it is.
The more you know.
That's James. I'm Kyle. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. Back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, drink water. Be nice, people. Bye.